Hi, I'm Russ McKendrick. I'm the DevOps and SRE practice manager at Node4, and I'm joined by April today to talk about our container offering.
Thanks, Russ. I'm April Edwards. I'm from Microsoft. I'm a cloud advocate, and I'm a senior software engineer on the CSE engineering team. So we work a lot with customers and containerization, and they want to know, why do we containerize an application? So what are you guys doing at Node4 to help educate customers and understand what the requirements are to move to the cloud?
Well, first of all, we spend a lot of time talking to customers about what containers actually are. There's still a big misconception that containers are the equivalent of virtual machines. Mm-hmm. So we try and work with a customer to basically help them understand what a container is and how they can actually implement their applications into it. So we'll talk to them about virtualizing processes and actually bundling their application and its dependencies together into an image.
Okay, cool. So tell me about what kind of containerization technologies you guys use here at Node4, what you've had experience with customers, where the successes have been.
Primarily, we use Docker. Mm-hmm. We also use Kubernetes. Mm-hmm. And as well as that, we deal quite a lot with Red Hat OpenShift. Mm-hmm.
So Russ, you brought up a lot of those buzzwords that customers hear and they want to consume. They think about containerization. They hear words like Docker and OpenShift. Can you kind of explain what a container is, how it works, and how it differentiates itself from something like Kubernetes and what Kubernetes is?
Yeah, so basically a container is the most simple form of an application that's deployed in a Kubernetes environment. So if you build a container, it's basically taking an application, its prerequisites, and bundling it up into a single deployable image. Mm-hmm. That image can then be deployed locally on a laptop, say, on-prem, and also in Kubernetes. So what Kubernetes is there for is to basically orchestrate both the placement and the availability of individual containers.
Okay, so as a managed service provider that has a data center practice, and obviously, we have developers developing code, and they can containerize that on their app for Docker desktop, etc. How do you guys offer that as a service? Because it sounds like you guys are able to manage and maintain that portability of containers for customers' different environments as kind of pretty much a hybrid cloud provider.
That's correct. And one of the advantages we've found with using services such as Kubernetes is basically it's quite a good leveler. So if you were to build a Kubernetes cluster locally on-prem, so basically we can take what we've built on-premise and deploy it, and we know that actually because it's built around Kubernetes, that although we're going to a completely different platform, in this case Azure, that the application will work and respond in exactly the same way. There are some differences with the way, for example, load balancers to route traffic to containers are done. But the advantage of using an orchestrator like Kubernetes is that completely abstracts that away from you as the end user.
Okay.
So you can just ask for a load balancer locally and a load balancer in Azure within your code, and Kubernetes will basically take care of orchestrating that load balancer and configuring it to route traffic to your application.
Cool. And I think what as Node4 and as kind of running your practice, what types of workloads are customers containerizing? What kind of, what are you seeing from your experience in the UK with all your customers?
A lot of customers are trying to take monolithic applications. We work with a lot of customers that do Python and Java applications. And one of the things we found is when a customer's running known to be quite a legacy application, they're having to try to maintain different versions of different software stacks across multiple servers.
Right.
Because we basically are virtualizing that software stack as a process, we're actually able to run, for example, different versions and flavors of Java together on the same machine without having all sorts of weird compatibility issues.
Which is what a lot of customers see, and they have different environments. I think that plays in kind of like the dev, test, pre-prod, production workloads for full end-to-end capability, right? And DevOps in your practice?
Yeah, so if a container's been built, the application is deployed into an image, and we find it's a lot easier to basically take that image through all the various steps of any continuous integration and continuous deployment. So we're able to hook into any existing CI/CD pipelines, and just basically to help streamline that process. And the advantage is because we can go from having a single server to run an application to a single server running multiple versions
Right.
of the application, it's a lot cleaner. So we're not having to rely on customers having pre-configured builds or old servers laying about just to compile that one version of an
Right.
application.
And that tends to break code as well because it works in one environment, not the other.
Correct.
Which is always a problem with customers and reliability. And then as a service provider, it's really difficult to help manage and maintain that for them.
Yeah, especially as you've got developers that may be developing locally, and obviously
exactly.
they're trying to target a production environment, but until containers came along, it was actually quite difficult to maintain a local development environment which was extremely close to production.
And I think also you hear a lot of developers say, well, it works on my machine, and then they go into production or other environments and it doesn't work, right? So that container sounds like a really good solution for that.
Yeah, it is. It's a very good solution for that.
Fantastic. So Russ, you sound really knowledgeable about containers, and it sounds like your team has done a lot of successful migrations and kind of transformations for customers. What kind of experience and knowledge does your team come with that they can bring to their customers?
So as a team, we've worked quite a lot with containers. Personally, I've written several books.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. How many books have you published?
About 8 of them, but 6 of them deal primarily with Docker and Kubernetes.
Cool. So you're really well experienced in the containerization space.
Yes, and the team itself comes from a Linux background, so we have the experience of deploying quite a lot of different software stacks. So we typically tend to work with a customer to help them build their container images, but we've got an understanding of how traditionally they would have been deploying the applications themselves.
That's really cool. Thank you for telling me all about your kind of containers practice that you're running. It sounds like you have a really good offering for your customers with a lot of experience in your team and a really unique offering that we have here in the UK as a partner.
Thank you.
Thank you.